Whatever. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are celebrating Black History Month this month, and today we want to celebrate the Black family and Black love. So today, our pastor, Justin Gamble from Mount Sinai Missionary Baptist Church, wanted to get together a panel of husbands and wives to talk about what is love. So we're going to get down to the nitty gritty, but before we do, we want to introduce our wonderful couples. We have our first couple that has been married for 21 years, Mr. and Mrs. Johnathan Guiles.
Hey.
Our next beautiful couple is Mr. and Mrs. Dedric Bonds, and they have been married for how long?
8.
8 years.
Yeah,
He don't even
9.
remember how long they've been married, so that means
Almost
it's
9.
going well.
Almost.
It is going well. Sometimes you forget when you're having fun, right, Joy?
Right.
All right, and then we have a newly married couple that has been married for 5 years, and that is Mr. and Mrs. Justin Gamble.
5 years.
5 years?
And they have been married for, what is the lucky number?
7 months.
7 months. 7 is the number of completion, honey. They made it.
Right. Absolutely.
To God be the glory.
Amen.
All right, so tonight, before we get started with our love talk, we would like to let you guys know that we will be having a raffle. Not a raffle, but a you can win $100.
Ooh.
Okay, so throughout this whole thing, we need you to stay on to the very end before you can find out the details on how to win this $100. And in a pandemic and how everything's going, even if it wasn't a pandemic, we could all use $100, can we not?
Yeah.
I need y'all to stay on to this Zoom throughout its entirety to see how we can get this $100. All right, so to get started, the first question to these lovely people, these lovely couples is, how did you know your mate was the one? Did it take some time? Did you, the minute that you saw the person, did you realize, oh, that's the one for me? Or how did that go?
Well, with me, my husband, he was a deputy before I met him. So I remember I was on the way to, I used to work at Kmart as a cashier in Merle's-Lake. So I was on the road going to work, and then I saw him, and he told me that he was helping a cat or something out in the highway, but I saw him. But when I saw him, all I saw was he looked like he had some gray eyes, and I'm like, oh my God, like, so I got, I was like, oh. And then it looked like he had like a shag or something.
I don't have.
But when I saw him after we met, I remembered, I'm like, oh my God. When I saw the sparks in his eyes, I knew he was the one for me. You know how cartoons like, oh, wow, So I'm like, oh my God, his eyes were not gray. They're actually hazel brown. But that particular day on the way to work, I'm like, it was just something. So yeah, I knew it was something then.
So I'm gonna say,
so I decided
Sonya, it sounds to me like it was a physical attraction.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
Anybody I was much thinner back then.
He was.
Anybody else would like to say?
Well, for us, I didn't actually like him personally. I actually thought he was kind of arrogant, and I remembered him from
now y'all, she took that back to some high school stuff.
I did.
Yeah.
I thought he was arrogant in high school, so as an adult, I thought he was the same kind of person. So we were working together, and I really didn't pay him any attention at all. He kind of pursued me And then I realized that he was the one, but I was like, oh no. Mm-mm.
All right. So for you,
The
Joy, it
husband,
was the
find it the
pursuit.
wife, man. Find
The
it.
man who I was about to say the same thing. And for you, Joy,
Yeah.
it sounds like it was the pursuit.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Say,
literally,
oh,
there was a time when I could have cussed God to his face and died,
glad you did.
but I really believed him for a wife. I really did, and so I believe she was a prayer answered. And yeah, we were right across the hall from each other,
Mhm.
and it was like a Friday night after a football game, walking out of the gate. I'd seen her for the first time, and it hit me. Yeah, that's gonna be my wife, but Pastor, I had to wife her.
Yes.
I had to wife her, and it didn't take long either.
No, it did not.
Wow.
All right. The next couple.
Well, I could tell this story. I could tell this. You know, for her, it was, you know, she looked at me. Let's be honest, she looked at me. I was, you know, I was her pastor, the center of attention and all that good stuff. And I had looked pretty good in a robe and a suit. So she was like, I need that man. But no, I'll be honest. I pursued her. We were friends. We were friends, and we talked often. Very, very, very considerate amount of time. And came a point where, hey, I just had to face my feelings for her. And the crazy thing is, the same way I was feeling for her, she was feeling for me.
All right.
And that brought us to where we are now.
All right. And that's married. Okay. All right. Our next question. So if you didn't answer the first one, the other partner will now answer the second question. And if your partner wants to chime in to help you answer your question, that is fine. The second question is, how do you communicate? And has your communication changed throughout your relationship?
I'll start with that one. I do not know how we communicate. We are still figuring it out. We are still a work in progress. If there was a weak point for us,
That's it.
that would be it.
But you can say by text though. We actually do well through text.
Yeah,
You know, that's
we
like
have
we do.
figured out what works for us at the moment. Because to answer the second part of your question, we have evolved, which is what I think the whole point of this thing is, not to stay in the same place. And so we are evolving together. We were resolved together to figure out a way to get past the impasse of communication, and it's still rough when it's like that.
Right.
We don't have rough spots very often, but you know, when it get ugly. But
Right.
you know, we get through it. We get through it. Can't do this thing without God, man.
Cannot.
I like her and all. Can't do it without God.
We can't.
Sure.
That's good.
As far as our marriage goes, we talk to each other throughout the day, all day long. And pretty much not only because of our marriage, but because we're also business partners as well. Mm-hmm. So in order to conduct the business, I'm at a different location. I'm at my job and she's here at the daycare. Right. A lot of times things may arise where she needs me to do something for her, something like that. And I have to leave my job and go do it. Then we got kids in school, we got kids in college. Mm-hmm. And we also have 2 foster kids as well. So we have to communicate daily, all day long, just about. Zion's, he's got practice after school, who's going to pick him up, and so forth and so on. So we talk almost all day long, just about at least 10 times a day, 10 to 12 times a day. So communications, and we have an understanding of what our role is in the marriage in terms of what needs to be done to make the day go by. And we're committed to it. So communication is very important. We do communicate all day long, just about.
Good. All right, next couple.
And who's going to go by and pay the bills?
All right, for us, we had a major change on communication in a good way. Because prior to us getting married, I'm a debater and I don't stop until I don't stop until I get the last word. But
That's a lot of us. That is a lot of women.
I haven't said anything. I'm just smiling.
Say so. Say so. But let's talk about that because that's some of our issues. Speak on it, Kristen.
Prior to us getting married, we discussed how we can communicate better when something is bothering us. And Justin was the type to just walk away, didn't say much, and that would annoy me so much. But since we've been married, I feel that we communicate much, much better than we used to.
That's a blessing. And I've just noticed that communication with any relationship is vital. Like you have to communicate. If one person is feeling as if they're being taken advantage of, or the other person is not understanding them, it can cause a breakdown within the relationship. If I'm feeling like I'm not valued or my opinions aren't valued, I'm gonna have an attitude. I'm talking about walking around with an attitude for days.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we all know that in a household, a happy life is a happy life.
It's a happy life.
My husband didn't realize that, but he has gotten it now. That a happy wife is a happy life. And if I'm happy, he's happy because I'm going to, it's something about when one person's happy, they're going to make the other person feel good about themselves as well. So communication is definitely a big thing when it comes to relationships because each person in a relationship has to feel valued and has to feel as if they're just as important as the other. So I'm glad that communication for all, we're learning. No one's perfect. It's not a book, kind of. I mean, there are books out there, but it's not like one book we can just read and just tell us how to, have the perfect communication. It's ongoing. I'm sure from 21 years to 9 years to 7 months, that as the years go on, as time goes on, as we change as individuals, because we're not the same person that we were years ago, that our communication style changes. I do want to hit on a role that, or a question I have now based on what Mr. Johnathan Guiles said earlier in his question. He said they had to figure out their roles. Mm-hmm. So my question to you guys are, has your definition of what a husband's role and a wife's role, has it changed since you've been married? Or did you bring in the preconceived notion of what a wife, what a husband is based on grandma and their relationship, based on mama and daddy and their relationship? And then did you realize after you got in it, that ain't working for me? The way that mom and daddy did it didn't work for me. So how I want to hear, like, did the roles change if it has?
Yes. And I'm new into this thing, just 7 years. 7 months. 7 months into this thing. I admit to you, the imagery that you have in your head prior is totally different to the reality that it is as of today. The husband is supposed to be, some would say the dominant one within the household, and whatever the husband says has to be. I'm the man of the house. Mm-hmm. This Lanes Creek woman here taught me that ain't reality. Yes. I've learned compromise. Compromise. I've learned understanding, and I've also learned that this is not a dictatorship. This is a partnership. We work together. We make decisions together. The only thing I have to do by myself is pay the bills.
Glory. Thank you, Lord. All right.
Yeah, I agree. And it goes back to when the way I knew that I solidified my end to my relationship with my wife was I won the hearts of the mom and the dad. So
that's a big thing.
So, and we sort of try to model what they've done over the years that made them successful, and took from it, stole from it, and imported it into our marriage. Some things you want to take, some things you want to leave out. And some things you develop and learn on your own like you're supposed to. But there was a time when I went to work overseas for 2 years. So I was away from my wife and daughter at that point in time before Zion was born for 2 years. So at that point, my wife had to be husband and wife while I was gone. And there are times when if my wife has to go to training for a week at a time, then I have to be husband and husband, not wife, husband and husband. But things I've learned to respect the role of a wife. I know it's not difficult. I know that it's difficult. I know that, and she knows that my job as a husband is not easy. Mm-hmm. So, but I respect the role of a wife and the things that they have to do. And we make decisions together. And there are times, I'll be honest with you, there are times when I have to make a decision as the head of the house. And but that's my role too, as a husband, to be the head of the house. So there are many things, I would say 95% of the things we do together, but that 5%, there are times when no, this is what we got to do. So I have to put my foot down and say, no, we're not gonna do that. So she understands my role and I understand hers.
Good.
As for roles, I think because we didn't waste any time, we kind of spent that time not knowing it, learning what the roles were,
right,
or how they were going to play out. So that when we got married, it was because we were blending families.
Right.
So it wasn't just she and I, it was us and they and them, we. And so I think we spent that time pretty focused, pretty insular, locking everybody else out and being about the business of creating a family. So we learned what the roles were as we were courting.
I ain't heard that word in a while. Courting.
Well, that's what it was. But again, we were not.
That's a good word.
We got together in October, and by April, we were married.
Wow.
Thanksgiving, the family conversation was planning a wedding.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Didn't take long.
No.
You decided she was the one for you, honey. You saw her across that hallway.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't across the hallway. It was walking behind her out there after that.
All right.
Oh,
all right.
Say so. You better speak the truth. Let's be honest. This is love talk, honey. Black love. Let's be honest.
Listen, man, I saw her walking out the gate.
Attraction.
That and them feet, that was it. I was hooked.
All right.
That's really good. The next question that I have for you is, have you expressed to your mate what your love language actually is? And if you haven't expressed to them, do you even know what your love language is?
Well, I can tell you that the things that I did to win her over in our relationship. Now, we dated for 4 years before we got married, and I try my best to maintain those same things. I opened the door for her. These are things that we still go out and act like boyfriend and girlfriend. And and when she's upset, I'll know it. Trust me.
Of course. Happy wife.
So we love each other. We still hold hands, and those are things that we did in the beginning that we maintain those same things today. And I think those are signals that we still love each other and things that we do to express our love for each other.
Good. I kind of want to piggyback off of what you just said. It reminds me of something my grandmother would say: don't start something you can't finish. So it sounds to me as if when you were wooing her, you were thinking in your head, now, if I can't do it, if I can do it now, I better continue. So she was accustomed to you doing the opening the doors and doing all this stuff. So now in your relationship, it is what it is because she's already used to it. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Next person, love language. And so love language also is how you receive love from someone, like how what they do expresses to you that that's love. So have you expressed to that person? Like for me, I'm just giving an example. My love language is doing for me. I'm not a gifty type person. I love giving gifts, but for me, it's getting the kids ready and I don't have to pack when we going out of town. Like that's my type of thing. Because in my mind, like if I'm going out of town, I make sure everything is in order to show him that I appreciate you and I don't want to leave you hanging. So when it's my time and he leaving, I expect the same thing back. So what is it that you expect, or have you even expressed that to your mate?
So Dedric does not necessarily, while he's definitely a doer. So just like we talked about roles, like in the morning, we do the same thing every morning. He, gets the kids all cleaned up while I'm getting clothes, and he brushes teeth while I'm doing something else. We do this every single morning. Talking about not starting something you can't keep up with. Like I hate pumping gas. Like I don't want to do it because he started it, and I don't want to get out my car and do it. That's
I hate it too.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Right. So like that's his job. That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to drive too. I mean, like if I'm in the car, I don't want to drive. I just don't. So while I don't think he buys into love languages.
I don't like that one so much anymore, guys.
No, he doesn't. He don't like to drive, but he's gonna drive. So he doesn't really buy into it, but I definitely think that is his love language and he knows it. I like to read articles about love languages, and I like to think that mine is personally like displays of affection, but then in real life, that's really not true.
But it is.
Yeah, it's really not true. I'm not like a touchy-feely kind of girl. But when I read those words, I really, that's kind of what I want. So I think I need to explore a little bit more and see what my real love language is, because on paper, I'm definitely a PDA kind of gal, but in real life, no.
Well, she won't not be affectionate if it's initiated. She'll reciprocate. You know what I'm saying? She ain't gonna be Trump's wife and swap my hand away.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
That might be me.
So.
Might be kind of mean, but no, I'm not. I do reciprocate, but I definitely don't initiate at all. No, I don't do it.
How does that make you feel?
I'm good with it because I understand what it is. So if I initiate it and she gives it back, I'm good. That's the point, ain't it?
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I've heard my husband say, sometimes it's nice if you initiate it. And I'm like, dude,
there you go.
That ain't me right there.
Yeah.
But
when you're honest, when you stop and evaluate it, for me, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, and that's my husband.
And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. All right.
Yeah, and that's my husband as well. He's very affectionate. Sometimes he's too affectionate. So he tells me things all the time.
I get it. Oh my God.
He'll just bust out, I love you. I love you. I would have been by myself if you didn't come into my life, because, I'm just a little touchy feeling. I'm like, okay, we get it. It's okay. But I think with him, because I was raised with both parents in the home, and I saw how my mom and my dad did. So it's like Johnathan, on the other hand, he really didn't have it because his parents got a divorce when he was younger. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm used to seeing stuff like that. My dad is very respectful and affectionate to my mom and stuff of all these years and stuff. So I'm like, okay, But with him, it's like he just, he loved to cuddle, and he just love attention. I'm like, it's okay. This is my big boy, but he just loves attention.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, and I really do, and I love him for that. But I'm not a really affectionate person when it comes to, I do receive it very well and stuff, but but he's more of the affectionate person in a relationship.
And you had to adjust, didn't you?
I
That-
did. Absolutely, I did. Yeah. So, yeah.
What was you saying, Mr. Gamble?
That's my wife all the way. I'm like this big teddy bear to her and all this stuff, and she always, got to rub my bald head and all of that stuff.
There you go.
Um, that's just who we are, And sometimes, okay, babe, I understand. I got it. I know you love it. But at the same time, I also have to admit that we're parallel because I'm the same way. I love sending her random texts throughout the day just to say, baby, I'm thinking about you, baby. I love you. I thank God for you. I love, when she's in the kitchen cooking, just to sneak up behind her, kiss her on her forehead or something like that. That's who we are. And I think if we had to identify a certain, love language, it would be, of course, quality time. It would have to be each other, because our day is not complete, no matter how busy the hustle and bustle is of our lives. Her working full time, me pastoring. We've got to be together. We've got to spend quality time.
Right.
We can't go to bed. We can't become too tired, too exhausted. We've got to spend quality time, and even that now that we are married, we still do things that we were doing. Go on a date, not just every blue moon, but we go on a date almost every weekend. And that's
Good.
because, we don't have an in-house child with us or children with us. Even when that time comes, we still find a way to do that. But our love language is spending time with each other, being around each other, and continue learning about each other.
Right.
So I guess I have this question to piggyback off of the last one. Did you guys talk about your different love languages, or did you just figure it out being in a relationship that this is what the other likes?
That's what we did. We just
You figured it out?
Yeah, we figured it out.
4 years.
Yeah, we just figured it out.
Yeah, like I said, we dated for 4 years, so we got to know each other very well. What I shouldn't say. so 4 years, we learned a lot about each other. 4 years.
All right. The next question is, how do you get through the hard times and stay committed to each other? How do you get through the hard times? Hard times could mean, I'm gonna let that just go to your imagination. Because we all know in any relationship, whether we've been married for 7 months, 21 months, or if we've been in a relationship, we all know that we hit those little rough patches where we look at each other like, I don't even like you. I don't even know why you're here. So in those moments, how have you gotten through those moments and still decided that you wanted to be committed to each other?
God. Can't do it without him. Can't do it without him.
I think, I thank God and our kids, because like I said earlier, we have gone through some things and it has been rocky roads and stuff, but I thank God because it has really made our relationship stronger. And I have to give props, shout out to Donna, my sister Donna, and my parents, because, in a relationship, you have to know God, you have to bring him in with you. And of course, we all were younger. And when I first met my husband, I didn't know God. I didn't have a personal relationship with him. I think my husband did, but I didn't have a personal relationship with God. So what we went through, that kind of made me stronger, made our relationship stronger or whatever. So we're over the rocky hills now, but I thank God for it. So sometimes when we go through things, I look at our children. So I'm like, you know what, because of our kids and stuff or whatever. So that kind of helps me out as well, and then with him being a big teddy bear, just he's full of surprises and stuff. So I'm like, hey, I really feel that our relationship has been ordained from God. Like I said, we've gone through some things, but And despite we're still here, and I really feel that it's him. And I have to give it to my mom as well, because she spotted Johnathan out for me when she was working at the hospital, because he would come every day in his uniform to see his grandparents who were dying at that time. And she would always come home in the afternoon. Oh, I saw your husband today. I'm like, Mom, who? What are you talking about? I had just got back home from college. And she was like, John Henry Guiles' son. I'm like, Johnathan, what I want with that nerd? What I want with him, Mama? What I'm gonna do with him? Well, she basically, she didn't stop. So someone was actually praying for our relationship and our marriage. So that's how we were able to get this far in it.
All right. Awesome. Next person.
Kind of funny because
Okay, Kristen's going.
we're actually talking about this today. I go throughout the house and I anoint the house. I anoint the dog. I anoint the walls. I anoint him. And he kind of made a joke about, you walk down the hall, all you see is grease spots that's in the shape of I really honestly believe that prayer and praying together will get you through hardships. We always say we kind of went through our little rough patch before we got married while we were dating. Now that we married, we don't really argue or have any disagreements. I mean, of course we newly married, but I think it's really because of the prayer and the anointing. I'm a strong believer in anointing.
Man.
Also, as I shared with you prior to us coming on, is that, since we've been married, we've only argued maybe once. And then, of course, that was about me leaving my shoes all over the house. Of course, that, it wasn't no humongous.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, Pastor.
It wasn't no humongous argument. It was a disagreement. It was something that she didn't like. But also, one of the things that I've become a firm believer of is that it takes more than love to keep a relationship together.
Right.
A lot of couples end up in divorce court not because they didn't love each other, but because they didn't learn. And Solomon suggested that, before you learn to love a person or decide, to be with this person, you need to gain wisdom about them. You need to learn them. And I think that's helped guide us through, any of the rough patches we had prior and now, that we took time to learn each other. I know what ticks her off. I know what to do to,
Yes.
and I also know what to do that would upset her. And so I tried, to avoid those things. Where I was leaving 5 pair of shoes around the house.
Now it's only 1. Right. And I was about to say that, but because she expressed that, now how she not expressed it, she could have been walking around mad about them shoes on the ground, and could have later on, a year from now, that still be. So I'm glad she was able to say, like, I don't like this. And now that she doesn't like it, you're very conscious about trying at least not to leave 5 pairs of shoes anymore. So it's down to 2. So that's
much
better. We're still at 5. We're still at 5 or maybe 10.
Even when you love them, you can overlook some of them stuff.
I've expressed it so many times, and I'm like, when I walk through the door now, I'm like, okay, whatever, just whatever. I mean, what else do I do besides burn them up?
That's love. That's just love.
That's love. And the fact that it's only shoes, she can be like, you know what? I'm gonna just move these shoes for now. Even though it's annoying, because I think about the big teddy bear that I got. I think about, how he just randomly calls me and gives me gifts and stuff. So, that outweighs them shoes, even though the shoes are serious, Mr. Johnathan. I need you to get it together. I need you to get it together.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look at it this way. If my shoes are laying around the house, that means I'm in the house.
That doesn't matter. That don't matter.
That's right.
When those shoes are not there, that means I'm out in the street somewhere.
This is true. Now, Mr. Johnathan, I'm gonna tell you this.
No, that's a good
Next time you take your shoes off, consciously be like, I'm gonna put this up. And I'm gonna tell you one thing. That's gonna turn Miss Sonya on. He gonna think about that thing, talking about, I know I just ain't walking here in them shoes. Oh my God. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. No, it's the small things.
Small thing.
It don't have to be them
That's
flowers.
right.
It don't have to be no Chanel bag. I'm telling you, if you put them shoes up.
Put the shoes up and take the trash out. Take the garbage out. Take it out. Make it a weekly thing. It's okay.
She communicating with you tonight, Mrs. Johnson. She communicates.
Now, we're live, so I'm gonna behave, okay?
She communicating, Mr. Johnson. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, she communicates. She communicates with the world too, but
It's all right. We don't feel no type of way that you don't take the trash out. We don't. Because she also said all these other great things about you. So no one looking at you no type of way. No one looking at you no type of way.
But I had this conversation with his mom before, and she said when he was about 10, that's all she did was made him take the trash out.
So
I said,
now he don't want to
Oh,
do
that's
it.
why he don't take
Right,
the
he's
trash out.
tired. He's tired of taking the garbage.
So, okay, Miss Sonya, now give him a break. You know where it's coming from. It's coming from a place of, I've had enough. I've done that too long.
That's
So
right.
let's just work on the shoes. The trash thing, we'll let you
we're not
take it out.
going to talk about bringing the vehicles home on E. Past the gas station, and I got to go put gas in it.
Right,
Well,
that's a different story for a different day.
Brother Judge, I
Thank
got.
you.
I
Okay,
got
go ahead. Okay.
I got to intercede on that.
Okay, and
Kristen hasn't pumped gas since we got married.
And she
Wow.
Since we got married.
And she
has
should.
not.
And she shouldn't.
There you go. And she should not.
Now, see what she does. We have 3 cars.
Hmm?
That's exactly what she does. She'll drive one and run
Till it's empty.
all the gas out,
then
Yep.
jump in another.
then grab another one.
There you go.
I get up, get ready to go somewhere. I'm all dressed up. I say, I'm getting debonair because I'm getting ready to ride a piece.
You can ride to that gas station.
I'm going straight to the
There
gas
you go.
Yeah, just stop by the gas station first, brother. That's all. By the gas station.
That's it.
Oh,
All right, Joy, Mr. Bonds, Mr. and Mrs. Bonds, would you like to comment on that question?
Read the question.
Oh, I meant what my answer was. It's God.
How do you get through the hard times and stay committed to each other?
Oh, I did want to add to that.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, in addition to God, my grandmother gave us the best piece of advice we could probably have ever had. She said, what happens when you add fire and fire? You get a larger fire. She told me that 2 people cannot be fire. One
Somebody
must be water. And I always remember that. And that's hard. I don't know if y'all know, but my husband is real headstrong. Like he's he's like really headstrong, right? So and I'm gonna be honest and say that I'm probably just as headstrong as he is. You know, I've been a single mom for a really long time. My whole adult life, I was a parent. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to do for me and my son. That was a big shift, moving from doing for just me and my son to now having to include a husband who also I had to in turn accept those roles as we talked about and trying to figure that out. While I love my dad, he was not in my house. You know, I didn't live with my dad. So I was like Johnathan, and, you know, we didn't see that positive married kind of thing in our house. I had aunts and uncles that were married, but I didn't live with them. So that was a lot. And so that key piece of advice is kind of the advice that I hold dear. And so I normally, even though he probably thinks that I'm making this up, but I normally back up and I calm down before he does. And I'll try to be the person who soothes everything over and try to talk sense into him because it's right. So that is the other thing. In addition to God, we always got to remember somebody is gonna have to be water, and that was what you were there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're in my kitchen. I want to think of my mama's house, and she told us that was the same Thanksgiving dinner that I think
Y'all were
everybody knew
talking
we were
marriage.
getting married before we knew we were getting married or whatever. it was.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely want to say something to that when you said about the water, the fire to the water. I think in a lot of relationships, period, people think if the other person has the last word or the last say that they've won. Like I've lost. So we're always fighting to be the right one. And what I've learned, and it's taken me a long time, and Lord, I'm still learning. But I've learned that it doesn't mean that I've lost.
Right.
It means that I am willing, I love you enough to get over whatever this is, to, back down and be like, you know what, it's not that serious for us to argue or be mad with each other or go to bed mad with each other. I'ma just let it ride. And my ego in the beginning was like, oh, heck no. We as women, how we can do, oh no, he gonna listen to me. Oh no, he gonna change. And then honestly, a couple of years back, the Lord was like, you're out of line. My husband couldn't tell me that because I'm like, you ain't my daddy. And I ain't got but one daddy. Like he would try to tell me something, put me, I'm like, you ain't my daddy. And so the Lord was like, you're out of line. You said you must submit to your husband. And we all know that we have issues with submission. Well, maybe not everybody, but I can speak. I am a work in progress with the submission. But for anything to work, especially all of us on here, we all go to church. We're all, believe in Christ, and we read the word and we know the word. And so with that, that's our instructions right there. And it said, we must be submissive. And when we fall in line like we're supposed to, everything won't be peachy cream. Of course, we know we're going to go through adversity and there's going to be different things, but it just makes it a whole lot easier if we as the wife or the girlfriend, and of course, it says submit as he submits to God. Now I ain't gonna submit to you if you ain't, you know what I mean. But for a lot of times, as I'll just say as a female, because I'm a female, I can only speak from my, point of view. It's like, no, I don't want to be wrong. So I'm going to fight to be right. And it's really, it's not a fight. It's not a fight.
It's not a
fight. And it shouldn't be a fight.
And you shouldn't fight to be right. I do actually understand the feeling of fussing and fighting to be heard. Yes. And having someone express empathy towards what you're feeling. Yes. And that's really tough too. But there should never be a fight to be right.
You're right. But we sometimes feel that way. Like if we don't feel like we're being heard, then we feel like then I have to say it louder, or I have to become more aggressive. And a lot of times, if we were just to sit back and not be so aggressive, a lot of times what I've learned in my relationship is when I'm like that, and that's just the type of person I am. I have a very like in your face type personality. I like to talk with my hands a lot. That's just who I've been all of my life. And my husband's like, honey, I'm not your kid. And I never understood that it came off as I was trying to be his mother. I just was like, okay, well, this is how we gonna do. And he was like, but I'm not the kids. I'm your husband. So you need to be careful in the way you speak to me. And so at the time I still didn't understand. But once I got it, it definitely has helped our relationship. I try now to be very careful in how I deliver what I'm trying to say, because when he feels like I'm attacking, he's not listening to what I'm saying anyway. He already in his mind thinking of, oh, well, I'm gonna come back with this. No, I need you to listen. So then I come with a little softer voice, not as, rough and tough. And just like, well, this is where I was thinking. And he always hears it when it's not coming as an attack. And when he's saying something to me, I hear it better when I don't feel like he coming to me like my daddy. So that's just something that we have learned throughout our years of being together, and we're still working on that every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Real.
All right. How long is this going to run? Do y'all have time for a few more questions, Pastor, or is this going to be over at like a certain time? Or
we got time for a few more.
Okay, well, this is just really the last one, and then we're gonna play for the $100.
We got one question from Facebook.
Okay, yes. Can you read that for me?
Yolanda Gamble Schuler, she asked, is there something wrong with a female taking the trash out if he can't?
Nothing wrong with it.
No.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. But I've done it for so long, and I feel that if it's here,
You've done it for so long.
I've been doing it for a long time. You know, I just really feel that there are, going back to roles and stuff, you know, by all means, I don't have a problem taking the garbage out. I've done it for the time that he was not at home. But, you know, just certain things, I just really feel that that's a man's role. The garbage, making sure that the oil in the car and stuff, making sure on a Sunday afternoon, I must say my dad would always he made sure on Sundays that he would check the oil. He would check to see if we had gas in the car on Saturdays.
Well, we know ain't no gas gonna be in the car. We know that already.
So, but no, most definitely it's not wrong. But a lot of times, you know, us as female, we have the kids, we have other things going on. So most of the times, like my husband, he loves to volunteer, especially when it comes to sports. So I'm doing most of the stuff. So by the time I get home or whatever, I'm doing, you know, I mean, at least take the trash out. I mean, that's not, yeah. So yeah, there we go. But I love my city.
You know what though? It's not that when it comes to the trash, you know, when you live out in the country, it's not like you just take the trash out by the roadway. Here, you got to go to a recycling center. And that's a few miles down the road. So it's not like I'm going to drive to the recycling center every time the trash can gets filled.
You should.
So I have a tendency to let it get built up a little bit. And then it goes out in the garage until you get about 3 or 4. Then I'll go. But she wants to take it to the recycling center every time it gets filled up.
Well, I want to comment on that. This is what I told my husband. If it bothers you that much, then you better get on it. Because it don't bother me. So something that really bothers him, I'm like, sir, I get it. I get that you don't like da-da-da. But if it bothers you that much, then you just gonna have to take care of it. Or then just let me take care of it when I can get to it. So, you know, speaking up for Mr. Johnathan, I know. And that's the thing. Definitely understand about letting the trash build up because he does have to, you know, take it to the recycling center.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Excuse. But I'll take that. I'm gonna let him win that one. No.
Thank you. See, Mr. Johnathan? Boom. What did she just do? What did we just talk about?
Hey, love.
She just she bowed out and she gave it to you. That's
right. She did.
Compromise.
There you go.
About being right. But in her mind, I know she's thinking, but I'm still right though. He need to get that trash out.
There you go.
To the public, she said, you know what? You're right. And that's what we got to do sometimes in relationships.
One more thing on my defense, seriously, because as a mother, woman, we cook all the time, and you know some things goes in the garbage that if you don't take it out right then. Yeah. So yeah. So
that's why you seal it up.
Yeah. Next question.
So the last one. What advice would you give to any couple, whether married or unmarried? Well, I guess I want to say kind of to those who are thinking about being married or just starting off in a relationship. What advice would you give to them to have a successful relationship or marriage?
Besides God, get to know who you are.
I'm a shout right there.
Enjoy your life a little bit.
Absolutely.
Live a little bit. Without,
that's it right there.
You know, being tied down, anything. Just enjoy your youth. Enjoy your youth.
Absolutely. I say it all the time, and I even tell our kids that in order to show love, you have to love yourself first. You cannot, you know, you have to love self first. And when you love yourself first, then you are able to show others how to love. But you must, this is a must. You must take God in your relationship. You must, because we have to think about it. we are two different people cut from different cloth. And it's like, you know, your morals and values are totally different from mine. So we have to learn to come together, but we must put God in it first. That's the only way it's gonna stay and remain, you know, a successful marriage and stuff.
If I can give any advice, it'll be you have to make some sacrifices. And that means, you know, when you got married, if you had a bunch of buddies, then you got to, you know, cut those buddies loose. You know what I mean? I don't hang with the boys. I'll give you a call on the phone, but my time is with my wife and my family. I don't have a lot of friends, and the ones that I do have is mostly telephone conversations. But my quality time is spent at home with my family and my wife, and that is how I get my high. I don't get my high off of going out hanging with the boys. I love my wife. I love the relationship. I love my marriage. I love my family. Yeah. And 95% of my time is spent at home with my. Now, do I go out and do what I have to do as on my own as well? I may go to Walmart or something like that, walk around. Right. But that's about it. I just don't spend time with anybody else other than the kids and my wife and together as a family. I don't have time for the boys.
All right.
I think for me, my advice, first of all, and I guess it's the consensus of everybody, make sure you're in relationship with Jesus Christ.
Right.
Until we're in right relationship with him, every relationship we'll ever be in will fail. And also prioritize. Learn, in that word that was brought up, sacrifice. And learn, and I guess as hard as it is to say this, learn that it's more to a relationship, more to marriage than love. Love ain't gonna keep food on the table.
It ain't.
Love ain't gonna keep a roof over the head, and love ain't gonna keep peace in your home. It comes into that level of understanding, and I think that would be the greatest advice that I could offer somebody when it comes to relationship, and even somebody who's thinking about getting married. Make sure that, and I guess the best way to put it is, I've oftentimes heard people say that this person completes me. That's the truth of the matter be told. I didn't want to marry Kristen if she wasn't complete. And I'm sure she wouldn't want to marry me if I wasn't complete. We needed to be complete when we got together. And the only way we could do that is be in the right relationship with Jesus Christ. And first of all, know who we are.
Yeah, and another thing, make sure you don't lose yourself when you get into a marriage or a serious relationship, because you have to remember Justin wasn't attracted to me because I was Justin's wife. He was attracted to me because I was Kristen, and I was attracted to him because he is Justin. And I think sometimes, especially with him being a pastor, me being a first lady, sometimes you can find yourself getting lost in roles and losing yourself, but you have to remember who you are, and that helps you guys stay connected, because that's what attracted you to each other in the first place. So I think it's very important to remember who you are and not to lose yourself in a relationship.
Awesome. If I could add one more thing, and I know that I'm going to get in some good trouble by saying this. You got to be able to put your family in their place, and you know that I'm married to my wife. If my family has some input, but at the same time, they have to know their role versus the role that my wife and I play in our marriage. So I don't have a problem with putting my family in their place. And my wife already knows that. And I'll do that to save my marriage, because sometimes family may not be for you. I'll be honest with you. Like I said, I'm going to get in some good trouble, but it's good trouble.
That's true.
That's true. That's true.
Joy, would you like to say something? I think everybody on the panel gave some advice already.
I actually I will echo what Kristen said, especially as a mom. you kind of completely, like, I really lost at one point just who I was, and had to kind of like bring that back as a mom of many, multiple children. And it gets tough. It gets tough because you're always constantly doing something for your kids, doing something for this. You got to work, you come home, you go to sleep. You got to work, you come home. You know what I'm saying? And so you kind of just lose track of that. And so lately, we just have to be intentional. And I've been using that word a whole lot lately, especially with
Right.
Xavier. But anyway, you got to be intentional with just trying to make sure, like Johnathan talked about, that quality time. So my husband and I, we don't necessarily get to go out as often because we do have a large family. So going out is a really big treat for us, right? But we are intentional about on Monday nights, we watch TV together. It is a absolutely simple in-home date, but that is it. Like, we don't, it's Monday night. We got to watch Bob Hart's Abishola. We got to watch Bull, and we got to watch All Rise. That is our time. I don't hear nothing. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So we have
Good shows, man.
we have to be intentional about just trying to make sure that we stay connected, because I'm not necessarily sure about Kristen and Sonya, but when I tell you, y'all, people will try to get in your marriage. Like, Dedric probably was not cute to anybody until I married him, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Any issues will come in, people will throw stones. I remember running into a girl that we knew, and she's like, oh, you're dating Dedric, he's getting married. And I'm thinking, girl, I'm the person he's marrying. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So just all kinds of things will come in there. That devil will get in your marriage no matter how and where. He will find a way. Because I could have very well gone crazy. Like, Dedric gave me a pearl necklace, y'all, once. And it was just like, somebody was like, oh, that's his mama's necklace. And his mama got the same pearl necklace. We just have to have the same thing. So you got to make sure that tie and that bond is tight. Be intentional. Make time.
That's good. That's good. That has been some great advice from these wonderful couples. I have a question. Do you see anybody in the chat box right quick? Because I can't see the chat box.
I'm looking on Facebook. Or is it the Zoom chat or the Facebook chat?
I don't know, either or.
Okay.
Because it'd be the first person to answer this question correctly will actually win the gift.
I can see the chat.
Okay. So the question is, who that's out there in our Facebook Live and our Zoom chat world can tell us how many years each couple has been married? You have to have it. They said it in the beginning of this Zoom meeting, how long each of them has been married. So your number one will be the Mr. and Mrs. Guiles. And wait and put all your answers together, because we don't want it coming through different. Okay, so wait and put all of them together. So it's Mr. and Mrs. Giles, then it's Mr. and Mrs. Bonds, and then Mr. and Mrs. Gamble. The first person who can tell us how long they have been married. Each couple has been married.
It's been said several times.
Several.
Nobody's answering yet. Kristen, you see anybody on your side?
$100 on the line.
$100 on the line. And I was listening, so it might be in my pocket.
I'm wondering, can we participate?
Y'all can't get it. I was just about it.
So my mama tried to answer y'all. She only put out because she knows it.
Mama, come on now.
Jean Brown Williams. Jean Brown Williams answered. She has Johnathan, 21, Pastor, 7 months, and Joy, 8 years. Is that who you see first on your side, Kristen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, Janine was second. Gosh, and she got it too. Okay.
All right, Janine who? Can't
Janine Liddell.
Oh, Liddell. I don't. Sorry. We said the first. And who is the winner?
Jean Brown Williams.
Miss Jean Brown Williams, congratulations. And I guess you would see Pastor Gamble for your for your gift. Is there any questions out there in our on our Zoom and in our Facebook world that they would like to ask before we end this call?
gonna have to give it a second because that lag is kind of.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a second.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Oh Lord. I'm scared of their questions.
Y'all see any questions in the chat?
You know,
There, not yet, but people are commenting with just now the years, so it's taking us.
Sorry, we already have a winner.
Jeez.
But you guys are all winners. Everybody who's watching today, you're winners. Why? Because you have gotten some wonderful knowledge on tonight about communication, how we know that that is number one under God. God is definitely number one. Number one is putting God in everything that we do. And so that is in our relationships as well. Then we found out from our wonderful panelists that you have to have good communication. Good communication, and your communication skills may change as you get older, as your relationship change, as you grow as individuals, as you grow as a couple. Then we talked about our love languages. There's no need for you to show me love in a way that I don't receive love.
It's true.
Show me love the way I like to be shown love, and I'll show you love the way you like to be shown love, so that it shows that we both love each other.
Right.
If, you know. And then we talked about taking out the trash and putting your shoes up. That was big. Okay. So we've learned that something as small as that can really help out a marriage when you do what your partner really wants of you. Then we talked about how do we get over the hard times and stay committed to each other. Again, the number one thing everyone said was God. Something else that we said is sometimes you don't have to fight to be right.
That's
Sometimes
right.
you just have to bow out for the betterment of the relationship, for the betterment of just saying, you know what, it's not worth it. It's not worth it for us to go to bed mad. Then we talked about some good advice. And one of the advices that I think really, I was listening to is not letting others influence you and your relationship. We have to be very mindful. Not everyone is rooting for you and your marriage or you and your relationship. So make sure the people in which you're confiding in about your spouse or about your significant other, that they are there to be a listening ear and give you support. I've learned throughout the years, not everyone can handle that. You can tell your friends something 12 years ago that your spouse did, and they still mad and holding on. So, yeah, girl, you remember when he did? Man, that was 12 years ago. I was just venting. You was only hearing my side. That wasn't even really how it went. You know what I'm saying? So be mindful in who we vent to, and know that if you tell God, he ain't telling nobody else.
That's right.
You have to tell somebody. Make sure it's a true friend, someone that's going to tell you when you're right and when you're wrong. Because we're not always right, whether it's the female or the male in a relationship, we're not always right, even though we think we always are. I know we are, ladies, you know. But, you know, go to the people that, you know, are your real friends, not associates, and stay on Facebook with all your stuff.
Amen.
Like Joy said, ain't nobody studying your husband until you get with him, then everybody won't. Well, if you keep him off there, if you stop putting them out there for everybody to lust over them, they
Okay, so I did see some questions, Nikki.
okay.
Well, of course, this James Burrows says, how can you become a part of this conference? But this isn't really a conference for Pastor Gamble. That could be something you could think about. Conference.
My mind's been working.
All right. And then Yolanda Gamble Schuler, who, Lord Jesus, she says,
Go by that question. Go by that question. Don't read that.
read her question.
She just wants to know if we're giving Valentine's Day advice. Yeah.
I think we'll end with that one. After the rest of the questions, I think we'll end with a little Valentine advice.
Okay.
Be happy.
Yeah, be happy.
Hey, it's date night.
Anybody else have some Valentine advice?
I'm glad it's on a Sunday evening and not a Saturday night.
Okay. And Valentine's is one day. And even though we express our love on Valentine's Day to our significant others, Valentine's Day should be every day you wake up and lay your eyes on the one that you love. Whether
right.
it's just a little note or a text message or a flower here or there, or filling the gas tank up with gas,
Yes.
taking the trash out and putting them shoes up. It is Valentine's Day 365 days of the year.
It is.
When you're
That's
in
right.
love. So that's our little Valentine's Day advice. And remember, I don't know if it's too much for the Facebook world, but the marriage bed is not defiled.
Say that one more time.
That's why I said be happy.
That's what the word says.
One more time.
Marriage bed.
Give him the word. Give him the word.
That's all I'm gonna say. So with that being said,
I'm a close in the words of Deacon Moses Gathers.
yes, sir.
Before we log off, let me first of all say thank you to all the couples. Thank you so much, so very much, Mr. and Mrs. Guiles, Mr. and Mrs. Barnes. And thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Nikki. You have been
Enjoyed it.
You have been awesome. And I ask those who are watching to please like, love, and share this because we want everybody to experience this Black love. Ain't nothing like Black love. And so we celebrate that. This is not the end of our festivity month. The last week of this month, next week, we're going to do something a little different as well. And the last week of this month, we're going to do something called Soul Food with Black families. And we're going to have 3 different families virtually prepare us a meal. They'll give recipes and all that good stuff. And we'll watch them prepare that meal. And maybe it'll be something that we can try even in our own
That
personal.
sounds awesome.
All celebrating family all year, not just family, but we're celebrating the Black family because we having a big family reunion all along, and we're celebrating love. So thank you so much. I love you. And I
love you too.
And thank you all so much. And I love
Class.
All right.
y'all. Have a good night.
Good
Y'all
night.
okay?
Bye.
See you later.
All right.
Bye.